Boys and girls, big day today. We're back here with Rachel. We're knocking it out of the park. I was nervous. We had a close game with Cal, so I got football nervousness.
Did you fake a cramp?
I faked a cramp. That is pretty crazy, isn't it?
Well, I guess that people are coming up with more and more creative ways to try to stop the Oregon Ducks. It's like, hey, I can't stop them in a legitimate way. I can't stop them in a normal way. And I heard one of the players talk the other day at practice. They were talking about their practice schedule, and they said that they practice so quickly. They practice at that tempo in practice, and that their practices go by really fast because they practice like that. So, listen, what you practice spills out onto the football field. I don't care. Coach Saban preaches it all the time, and other coaches as well. I don't care what you do. If you are not practicing to win, if you're not giving your all during the week, you're not going to win that ball game. I mean, it is what it is. So to hear one of the players say that look, we practice at this tempo, this is how we go all the time, it really reinforced everything that I believe about this Oregon Duck football team.
Yeah, that they're rocking. So did people, like out in the beautiful South there, Southeast, did you guys notice people falling down, or are we just making that up as a Duck fan?
No, you're not at all. The worldwide leader noticed it too. I was reading a great article today about how to fake an injury. Which players were more likely to be believed, with an injury. So no, you're not crazy at all. Everybody saw. People took notice or started to take notice of the Oregon Ducks earlier in the season. The tempo is so fast, so quick, and now, aside from everything that's going on with Cam Newton, Auburn seems to be the team in the SEC. They still have to play South Carolina, and that game was very close, and that'll throw everything into a tailspin if South Carolina beats Auburn in the SEC championship. However, people are talking about this Oregon-Auburn potential matchup, and I think it would be a great matchup, but Auburn defensively is just not where they need to be. So I think that it would be a game just a lot like the games that they have seen this season if you've watched the Auburn Tigers, and that is a shootout. I don't know how to be a fan anymore, Rye. We talked about this. It's like, I don't know how to tailgate anymore. I mean, maybe I'll have to come out west and you guys can teach me how to tailgate again.
Oh, you're on. Okay, I guess we got a deal. I have to get you on a plane.
I think we should do it. But in all seriousness, now that the Iron Bowl is next week, when we are in a press conference, we're not allowed to talk about next week or look past this game. But I can talk to your fans about that, and then the people that are watching this. It's going to be a great game, and Auburn has a lot of controversy surrounding the program right now. It's very sad. If indeed these allegations are true with Cam Newton that he was bought and paid for, or that his dad solicited money for him to play, the people that really lose in all this are the fans and the teammates that sweat and bled and went to war with him over the summer and throughout the season. If all the allegations are true, it's very sad. So what that does, Ryan, is that takes the focus away from the football game. Add in the mix that Alabama they don't have a national championship to play for. They don't have an SEC championship to play for. So in essence, they're the hunter, not the hunted. And so much of a rivalry game comes down to the psychological aspect of it. Throw out all of the records that you will. You have Oregon State coming up. So you know how that is. And with Alabama really playing the role of spoiler, if Auburn is not on their P's and Q's, then Alabama could upset them and find themselves in a BCS bowl. But no matter what, it'll be a great, entertaining game. It always is, just as I look forward to the rivalry games around the country. Big news, really sadly, has been about Cam Newton. And for your listeners that have maybe not followed this and has not been, their market has not been as saturated with this news as it has been here because it is going on in the Southeast. What allegedly happened was Cam Newton was going to go to Mississippi State to play football, or wanted to go to Mississippi State to play football. His father allegedly contacted someone at Mississippi State about paying $180,000 for Cam Newton to play there. Allegedly, there were conversations about that. Mississippi State is saying, we never said we would. So they're trying to get themselves off the hook. So now the question is, did Auburn pay for him to go? And did his father solicit the money? Which, if that's the kind of father you have, oh, Lord, help me, help us all. Again, all allegations right now, but now the latest bombshell is, one, the FBI is involved, and two, there was a huge booster that owns a big racing facility here that gave $1 million to Auburn, and now they're investigating him in connection with this. And really, it's a pay-to-play scheme, if that's what it boils down to. And that's what's going on. It's a scar for the SEC. It's a scar for Mississippi State, for Auburn, for this player. And again, it's just a black eye in the face of football. And why are we talking about this? Because it's news with a couple of weeks left to go. But that's sadly what's been going on here. It's been dominating the airwaves. Now it's TMZ. You know, TMZ used to be about Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears not wearing underwear. And now it's about, you know, breaking Tiger Woods stories and Brett Favre, you know, alleged nasty text stories and all about Cam Newton. I'm like, since when did TMZ get a sports department? Like, I didn't come out of school and go, you know, I really want to go work for TMZ. Not knocking TMZ, but since when did TMZ get a sports department? And I think that the Pac-10 has done everything that it needs to do in recent years to prove its worth. I think that the Pac-10 is becoming more deep, top to bottom. I think the Pac-10, you know, having the reconstruction of the Pac-10 and now have a championship game and all the things that they're doing, I think they're taking a step in the right direction. They realize they don't want to get left in the dust. They don't want to be antiquated. Yeah. You know, it's that old book, Who Moved My Cheese? You know, you got to move. You can't become complacent. And I think the Pac-10 realized that. And people in the SEC, smart people, realize that the Pac-10, especially Oregon, but other members of the Pac-10 are very talented this year. So why not? Why wouldn't they? They want to play a Pac-10 team. And no, the thing that, no disrespect whatsoever, the thing that people don't want is TCU and a Boise. That you know, the traditionalists, the people that really represent a power conference or an automatic qualifier. That's what they don't want. But an Auburn, Oregon matchup, which looks to be right now, if they were to win out, or before an Alabama-Oregon matchup, or somebody else representing the SEC, he might taste it. Here's my thought on it. You know, everybody deserves a second chance, Rye. He paid his debt to society. What he did was abhorrible. What he did was deplorable. There's no words for what he did, okay? And it bothers me. Bill Plaschke, a friend of mine from the LA Times, wrote an article about some of the dogs that have been relocated. And this one dog named Mel, you know, every time anybody comes near him, he cowers and he shakes with fear. And it's very sad. But in spite of those things, I still believe that Michael Vick is reformed. I still believe that, I know that Michael Vick paid his debt to society. And I think that if you research it, and any of your listeners research him, they'll know that he's been doing a lot of work off the grid, off the media grid, to try to eradicate dogfighting. I really believe that he feels very, 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 very sorry for what he did. And so for me to see a man come back like that, for me to see a man just on a mission like that, for me to see a man redefine the quarterback role, who people said years ago when he was with the Falcons that he would never, ever win the big one, that a guy like him that possessed the skills he did with his feet and his arms would never win the big one. You better watch out, world, because Michael Vick has come to play, and I couldn't be prouder because, you know, as a former mess up myself, I love to see people get second chances. I love it. And it looks to me like he's making every opportunity to make good with his life. And until he shows me differently, I'm all on the Mike Vick wagon. I think the person who really has inspired me when I first started my career, and if I were to brand myself in any way, I think he would be the master, and that's Bo Jackson. Bo knows. I remember distinctly my very first story. I was in college, and it came across the facts in our college TV station. It was like, Bo Jackson's doing a charity golf tournament for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And they sent me to cover it. I mean, I was shaking, you know, I was so nervous. I picked out my outfit 7 times. I changed 18 times. And I went to interview him. It was amazing. I was really inspired by him. And then I was so inspired that I started working for him. I started working the event the next year and then got my mom involved. And I ended up ultimately running the event 4 or 5 years later. And so the reason why I bring this up is because if you are a brander, you need to figure out what you're branding. And this goes back to one of our first chats. And you've got to give back. Find something, whatever it is that you love. For Bo, it's children. He loves St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So part of his brand is to give back. Bo also has a company called Ingenuity. It's a food servicing company that he provides food to the military overseas. And he employs a lot of people that have disabilities, American Indians, different types of people. And he gives that helping hand. And I think that's awesome. So branding is not about me. What can I do for myself? Branding is about what this world is about. It's about giving back. And when you give back to others, especially going into this Christmas season, holiday season, it's so much about what you can do for others. Jackie Robinson, I think the quote said, our single greatest purpose on this earth is to influence another human being's life. And I say it all the time. I try to live by it. So the more that you figure out what you stand for, what you care about, what you're trying to brand, the more your brand's going to come to you. It's going to develop in a heartbeat. Because when you reach out to help people, you stand taller, my friend. Kids, I remember at one of the tournaments I did for him down in South Florida, it was the last time that a blimp they could have a private blimp. And it was a private blimp ride over South Florida. And he bought it. And he was like bidding in the audience, and he bought it. And then he called the little boy up there that was, I'm not going to cry again, but he called the little boy up there that had beaten cancer, and he had, been bald from the chemo, and he'd grown back this huge, thick head of hair. It was beautiful. It was curly in a different color. And he called him on stage, and he presented that blimp ride to this little boy. So the little boy got to take the last private blimp ride over South Florida, and Bo Jackson bought that for him. And to me, Bo knows all the things, all the campaigns, everything he'd ever done. To me, he was never more of a man than he was in that moment. I spend time in the press box until about 8 minutes left, so I get a bird's eye view of the game. I absolutely love it. I get a chance to watch the plays develop, the defense, the offense, the whole 9 yards. And then about 8 minutes left, I go down on the field and watch the end of the game. Then we go straight to the press conference. Coach Saban comes in, they bring players in, we interview them, and then I shoot another show after the game. So it's a long day and a long night for me, but when you love it, there's nothing better.
Yeah, so we can catch you tonight. You tweet during the games, right?
I tweet, yes, all during the games. I give you my thoughts during the games, yes.
Cool, so we'll catch some of that tonight.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.